Hi, in this episode, I will show you the Clickly's mental model, how it works, how the apps projects in Clickly structured, how to think about that. Like it will help you to navigate and understand the logic behind Clickly, how Clickly thinks. First of all, the main central part of every mobile UI application is UI, user interface, or screens and the components. And in Clickly, we have especially two sections for that. First of all, screens, and you can switch between those screens. You can make the navigation from one to another one. This navigation, the routing is limited for now. It will be improved soon. And also you have custom UI components, pieces of reusable UI, some button that's specifically styled for your case, some, I don't know, special checkbox or some image with the text and everything that you want to reuse within your app more than once. And those UI components, custom UI components, they are configurable. You can create properties and make every time you use those components, you can put different configuration, different settings into the component to have a different data visualized. And also we have data formulas and action flows. And to explain these two, let me show you this diagram. Again, in the center, we have screens and custom components, UI, user interface. But before we want to show something on UI, sometimes, more often than not, actually, we want to load something from API, from sensors, from backend, from anything else, then maybe transform it, combine with another data, and then prepare it in order to visualize it on the screens. Exactly for that, we have those data formulas. And the data formulas, you can see them, they can be very simple ones, like this one and this one, or this one that loads something from API and that converts something and then gives you some result. And as you can see, you can check in each step what is data there. And also those action flows can be pretty complex with some filtering and sorting and some additional logic, anything that is possible. And you can think about those data formulas as Excel formulas or Google spreadsheet or numbers formulas. But in this case, you don't have to write the syntax. Everything you do is visually, in a visual way. You're just creating those nodes, connect them together, rearrange them as you need, and then you bring those data formulas, you connect those data formulas into the UI. And I will explain how do those things later in all the videos, all the episodes later. And the next piece we have action flows, because the data that you shown on the screen, most of the time, it's not just for the user to see. User wants to interact with it. User clicks some button, user fills some form, user wants to sign in, sign out, whatever. And those user actions, most of the time it's user actions. Sometimes it's some system events, some system actions, app events. All those, they can trigger some action flows. An action flow is basically a script, step-by-step script, what should happen when some action happens. And here you can see very simple action flow that does only one thing, is showing alert with some text. And also you can see there is a connection with the data formulas. So I take from this data formula some data, and I'm interested only in the text of this random code, and I want to show it in the alert message. So these pieces can work together. And that's basically the entire mental model. That's basically, if you are not into coding, if you don't understand software development, that's actually the beginning of every UI app architecture. Congratulations, you learned some software engineering. But it's pretty simple. You have these data formulas that creates some data, brings this to UI. You have UI as a centerpiece. Sometimes it's static, sometimes it's dynamic because of the data formulas. And then you have action flows that are basically the logic behind another piece of the logic. Data formulas is also a piece of logic. See you in the next episodes, and thank you for your attention. See you.